Hey guys, it's Miss Hardy recording for Biomedical Technology on Tuesday, October 27th. Your cell projects were due yesterday. If for some reason you did not turn your cell project in, please be reminded that it is minus 20 points for each day that it is late. So I need that project as soon as possible so that you get credit for the work that went into it. Clicking on the daily agenda for today, scrolling down here to the very bottom where we currently are. If you're missing work, again, get up with me as soon as possible. You have a discussion post today that is counting as a quiz grade, and then you have your assignment, which is GO or Graphic Organizer, Unit 4, due by 10/28/2020. Okay, that is tomorrow. So I am giving you 2 class periods to work on that. Your discussion question for the day has to do with the stages of cancer development. Okay, so how do tumors progress from stage 1 to development to stage 5? Hint, hint, this is in your notes. So if you didn't do your notes and or you kind of just wrote enough to get by with, you may want to go back and review your notes before you submit your answer. If you've already submitted your answer and would like to take an extra 5 minutes to perhaps edit your answer or reply to it, you can do so at the end of the Zoom. So I'm heading over here to modules and I'm scrolling down to today's assignment. I want to make sure that I explain this assignment so that we're all on the same page. As you know, I have in the past provided you different graphic organizers to help you organize your information for studying. So this was one of them that I gave you one time before. This is another one where we talked about the FDA stages of clinical trials. I've also given you research methods. Okay, so all of these are tagged in the unit. This will be unit 1. Okay, so you can go back and look at those. You've done your own study guides before, and I am a fan of doing graphic organizers to help you organize your information, and this is super personal, so it's how you best organize the information. So for this assignment, you will create a graphic organizer for Unit 4, Cell Biology and Cancer. We are testing on this unit on Thursday. It should be a minimum of 1 page. Okay, 1 page should have all of your ideas up there. I went ahead and made mine this morning, and 1 page was perfect. Okay, and I included even more information than I probably needed to. As you know, I typically handwrite this information. I'm a learner through handwriting and not through typing. You may be one that does fine with typing. You can turn in whatever you feel most comfortable with. What I do not want is you hand typing the notes and returning them back to me. I know this information, you don't, okay? I can copy and paste this information from a slideshow just like you can. That's not what I want. I want to see that you have put your information that's kind of all over the place right now into a solid train of thoughts that is going to help you study and be successful. That's why it says tune into the Zoom today. So what you're watching right now, even if you're watching it recorded, because I'm going to go over some ideas and concepts through the PowerPoint that you really need to make sure you include. That's why I've already flash copied done my study guide. Okay. This goes into a category that's worth 40% of your grade. Okay. So it's really important, guys, that you get this study guide and consider it very, very important. For those of you who may not be doing as well in this class, it is very important that you turn in this study guide. I'm going to use this study guide to try to improve your grade. Okay. R2 ends next week, okay? That means that this 6 weeks ends next week. So if you are doing makeup work, if you're concerned about your grade, if you need to speak with me, you need to do so as soon as possible, okay? Tips for making your graphic organizer is to use color, to handwrite it, and to organize your ideas into boxes and categories, which is what I like to do. Use this Zoom, okay? So if you're at home right now and you're listening to my Zoom, you are already 1 step ahead, okay? If you guys are face-to-face learners and let's say the next unit you're at home, make sure you tune into the Zooms because I literally give away answers and give away test questions and things like that in these Zooms. And if you're not watching them, you're not reaping those benefits, okay? So this is due tomorrow. What I'm going to do is head over to the module and I'm going to click on the PowerPoint that covers this information. How many of my face-to-face learners listened to my Zooms last week? Okay, so none of them did. So they were awesome Zooms covering this information. So what I'm going to do is discourage you guys from just completing assignments. I know it gets really easy to do that. However, I have taught this class enough to know what's going to be on your final exam. Okay, you have a 100-question final exam coming your way. And I am concerned that we're not going to do as well because we're not listening to me teach the information. You're reading the information and you're using the information that you read to answer the questions, but are you learning the information? That's the difference, okay? So let's go through this PowerPoint. Let's talk about the high notes that you need to cover in your study guide. Let's talk about how to group information. So we have two separate ideas here. We have cell biology, which is the life cycle of the cell, and then we have cancer. We know that the typical life cycle of a cell includes a multitude of things, okay? Cells function, they know what they're supposed to do, they replicate, and we have constant new cells coming into the mix because we have old cells that die, okay? Do you guys know what that process is called when cells die? When they self-destruct because they're old, or they may even pick up that they've stopped working right. What is it called? Apoptosis. Okay, so apoptosis is what it's called. So you need to make sure that you know that. Apoptosis is what it's called when a cell says, I'm old, or I'm not working right, I'm not living right, so I'm going to go ahead and self-destruct, okay? Cancer cells don't do that, okay? Cancer cells say, hello, I'm here, I don't work right, and I'm just going to multiply and divide and keep growing and growing and growing. So the true definition of cancer is an abnormal cell division and cell growth, okay? All of this is really awesome information about cancer, but maybe not as relevant to our test, okay? You need to know the types of tumors. Last week on the Zoom, I gave you ways to remember this. Benign is what? If you didn't watch the Zoom, you don't know the trick, okay? Benign is be fine, okay? If you have a benign tumor, you're going to be fine, okay? It's not cancerous. It may be pressing on some organs. It might be in a really uncomfortable spot. It's not supposed to be there, so it can still cause complications, but you do not have cancer if you have a benign tumor. So benign, be fine. Malignant is the opposite, okay? How do you say bad in Spanish? It's mal, okay? So mal. Malignant is cancerous, okay? Malignant starts with mal, so it's bad, okay? Malignant means that it's cancerous and it could potentially spread, okay? A malignant tumor is cancer, okay? The second that a malignant tumor spreads, okay? The second a malignant tumor, which is cancerous, spreads, okay? It's called metastasis or metastatic. Okay, metastatic is a tumor that started somewhere else and moved through the body. Okay, it typically moves through our lymphatic system, our blood vessels. A piece of that tumor breaks off. Some of those cells travel to different parts of the body. They hook in and they say, "Ooh, time to multiply and divide, and we're going to take up shop here." Okay. Cancer develops over time. It doesn't usually develop overnight. This is why we recommend physicals every year, because we can pick up on any abnormal growths or things you might have noticed, that spot on your skin that looks a little different than it did this time last year, okay? We know that we have lots of vocabulary here. We have mutation, we have mutagenic, we have oncogenes, we have carcinogenic, okay? What is a mutation? A mutation basically means that something went wrong. That's what one of our students said. Something went wrong, okay? When it goes wrong, okay, this is a mutation or it's mutagenic, which means it went wrong, okay? It caused something on the genetic level to go wrong. If in fact that mutagen causes something to go wrong, it's mutagenic. That makes sense, okay? Let's say that mutagen then leads to cancer, okay? Then that mutagen is also called carcinogenic, okay? Because carcin means cancer and carcinogenic means cancer causing. So not all mutations are going to cause cancer. Not all mutagens are carcinogens, okay? Not all mutagens cause cancer. But if they do, they take a new name, and that's carcinogenic, okay? All right. Mutated genes that cause cancer are also called oncogenes. That makes sense because oncology is the study of what? Cancer, okay? So oncogenes are cancer genes, okay? It is thought that in cancer, you have to have several things happen all at one time to cause cancer or happen over a period of time. So several mutations have to happen for cancer to arise because it's normal for us to have abnormal cells sometimes in our body, but normally our body takes care of it. Here's that fun term, apoptosis, okay? Make sure you know that. So we've gone through this slide. That's just a little video. We've talked about metastasis. It means that it's gone on the road and moved into another part of the body. We know that cancer takes time to develop. So does it make sense that as you get older and your body's been through a little bit more and maybe you've been exposed to more types of carcinogens, okay, that your risk of cancer increases the older you get? Does that make sense? 100%. So smart test taking skills here tell me to read my answer choices and see if what I'm choosing makes sense. What's a carcinogen? Give me an example. Smoking. What else? The sun, especially for fair-skinned people. Yes. Okay. We talked about inherited predisposition. Read the slide, know the slide. We talked about risk factors. We talked about all of these different vocabulary terms. You do need to know these. What is the difference in incidence rate and survival rate? Okay. How many per year is different than how long you'll live after? Okay. Here on mine, I've put it over here to the side so I can have my vocabulary. What does it mean, your lifetime risk of cancer, okay, versus your relative risk? Well, if I relate something to something else, then that means I'm what? I'm doing a comparison, right? So that tells me the answer to my question. All right, so we talked about risk factors. We talked about these. We talked about all of the things that maybe bring you a little bit more risk to having cancer. We've talked about the regular cell cycle. I know that for this test, I need to know the organelles and I need to know their functions, okay? Those organelles were what were on your cell project. There were 15 of them. You're responsible for knowing them, okay? They may be asked of you on your test, okay? Most of you should spend most of your time studying cancer. However, you may want to spend more time studying your cell functions because you haven't had biology yet. Okay, if this is your first time ever hearing organelles and lysosomes and mitochondria, spend a little bit more time there. Do we study what we know? We study what we don't know, okay? Moving on, you have a gas pedal and you have a brake, okay? Everybody say proto-onco. Proto-onco. Proto kind of looks like pronto. What does it mean when I say I need you to get your work done pronto? Go do it fast. So in the car, if I want to go fast, what do I press? The gas. The proto-oncogenes are the gas. Go ahead, multiply and divide. Grow, 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 okay? A suppressant, if I take a cough suppressant, it means I'm trying to get rid of my cough. So the tumor suppressant genes is the brake. It says, hold up now. You need to slow down, chill out, stop growing, okay? That's the check and balance system we have in our body, okay? Then you have your stages of tumor development. Hint, hint, okay? Stages of tumor development. You need to know how these progress. A mutation is something went wrong, okay? Hyperplasia is, oh, we got a lot of cells coming up all of a sudden over here. They're normal, but there's a lot of things happening here. Dysplasia is, oh man, something went wrong. And now the cells, they're not normal anymore. Dys means bad, which means it's bad cells, okay? Dysplasia is the point where we're getting nervous, okay? All right, we're getting nervous. The cells aren't normal now. In situ cancer means that you have a tumor. You have a full-blown tumor, okay? It's bad, but it's staying put, okay? Once it moves, we call it invasive, okay? Once it moves, we call it invasive, all right? Because it's invading other places. Moving on, just making sure you understand that invasion is like invading the neighbor's house. Invasion means I'm going to just spread to my neighbor, okay? Metastasis means I'm going to spread outside of my subdivision. Do y'all understand that? Invasive means I'm invading neighboring tissue. So I'm going to just walk to my neighbor's house. Metastatic means I'm going to walk to the next neighborhood. I'm going to walk a subdivision over, a trailer park over, and I'm going to take over there too, okay? So metastasis truly means into a completely different part of the body, okay? We know that cancer cells, they look different from regular cells, they grow different, and that biochemically, which means their makeup is different. All right, some examples here. Again, we have ways to decrease our cancer risk. There are things we can do. There are things that we can do as doctors and healthcare providers. There are things that the nation does, like no smoking in public places. And then there are things internationally that we can do. All right, cancer research, how are we treating it? That's where a lot of money's going right now. Okay, typical treatments for cancer include surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. If you don't know the difference in radiation and chemotherapy, you need to learn it. Okay, you need to learn it. Chemotherapy is what? Chemotherapy is drugs. Okay, radiation's goal is to shrink, so it uses radiation therapy, like almost similar to an x-ray, where you're getting that radiation to that one area. It's different than an x-ray, but same concept. Chemotherapy is drugs. Chem is chemicals, so we're giving you drugs, okay? You need to know, guys, some of this vocabulary we're fixing to get to, such as the skin cancer vocabulary, and specifically A, B, C, D, E. You need to know that, okay? Is it asymmetrical? Does it have a pretty border? What color does it look like? Is the diameter growing? Okay, is it bigger than a P? And does it change? A, B, C, D, E, okay? You need to know, guys, for breast cancer, what is the screening tool they use for breast cancer? How do they test for breast cancer? It's a mammogram, okay? It's a mammogram. You need to know for cervical cancer, what's the test they do for cervical cancer? They test your cervix. It's a pap smear. You need to know what that is, okay? You also need to know down here, guys, when we're talking about diagnosis, where we tell you you have a disease, versus prognosis, where we tell you how long you may live after your disease or your chance of recovery. You need to know that a colonoscopy tests for what? Colon cancer, okay? You need to know these terms here, okay? We have successfully gone through this slideshow, and I have pulled out for you all of the things that you will need to know for your test on Thursday. Your job now is to complete that assignment that I talked to you about. So your job now is to complete this graphic organizer assignment. This is mine. Yours should not look like mine because you do not think like me, but you can use mine for inspiration. And this time tomorrow, I'll post mine, but I don't want to just give you the answers. Okay, I've gone through it. I need you to spend time with this because we are coming up on a time where you will not have your notes and your study guide and Google in front of you to take your test. You will have a 100-question test that can truly determine whether you pass or fail this class in a very few short weeks. We are halfway through this class, a little more, okay? If you have questions, comments, or concerns, I'm available to you all day, every day, Monday through Friday, okay? Contact me. If you are not watching my Zooms, you are only hurting yourself, okay? Let me know if you have questions, comments, or concerns.